When life throws you a curveball, how are you going to handle adversity? Welcome to the Fearless Mindset Podcast, where you're about to go on a journey as I interview security, business, and entertainment leaders on what it takes to stay fearless. I'm your host, Mark Ludlow, and enjoy today's episode. For the audience tuning in, this is Hector Robles, president of First Call out of Mexico, former Steel Foundation company that became First Call. And we're just having a chat about all things security, business development, organization, standardization, as is, and BEEP, and IPSB, and what's the other company organization you're president of?
IFPO, the International Foundation for Protection Officers. The CPO, the Certified Protection Officer, is one of the certifications. IFPO. And,
there you go.
That was created back in '88, and I'm not against. I'm a member of ASIS and I'm a member of IFPO.
Okay.
Many organizations, because we're not
all good.
It's so good. It's just whatever is.
Hector likes to stay busy. Yeah, Hector likes to stay busy and contribute to his industry. But we're just having a good chat. If you're listening on what are we talking about? That's what we're talking about, folks. And we're just trying to get an idea of what's going on in the industry. The industry has shifted, as you guys all know. We came out of the pandemic, and now we can't even find people that want to work. And they just got out of the pandemic. They go, I want to stay home and collect a check. Well, how does that work? You got to work for a living to pay the bills. So, we're just having a good discussion. Hector and I are friends. We're just having a good chat about what's taking on in the industry. And, I want to also, we're in the top of the hour, talk about the media of America versus the reality of Mexico. There's two different stories being told, Hector. So can you explain to us the story, the reality versus what we're seeing on U.S. media?
Well, what you see is in media. If you see the media in the U.S., I think it's a good thing. What they do is a responsibility to let people know what is happening, just for them to be aware, for tourists and for business travelers. And it's good what they do in terms of information. But sometimes it looks like everything is like that in Mexico, and it is not like that. And for that, I would advise people to go to the State Department website and check the travel advice. And in terms of Mexico, because our economies are so interconnected, that you can see exactly which state you can visit or where you have to be aware of. But in general terms, in Mexico, you have to be careful all the time. You need to be careful all the time. And I'm not going to hide things, and I'm not going to brainwash you with Mexico. It's just like that. No, I can tell you that people in Mexico are afraid. 6 out of 10 people think Mexico is not a safe place.
Wow, that's pretty bad. 6
out of 10. Because we have felt the level of insecurity, but that doesn't mean that we don't go out of house. We live our lives. Life is beautiful, and we go to the beach. We go to Cancun. We go to Tulum. We go to Cabo. We go everywhere. It's just to know where to look. And in the media, it looks like Mexico is everywhere like that. It is not. There are shootings, yes, but those gangs, those drug dealers are killing each other. It's not that. They focus on me, or if you're a business traveler or a high net worth individual or a top executive, and if you think that you're going to another country and you're going to get kidnapped, probably what you should start thinking is why you're going to get kidnapped if nobody knows you. And if you're probably maybe the problem is inside your security detail, that they are just leaking information or do a different kind of research. And if you don't speak the language, I was listening to one of your podcasts, or I don't remember her name, but providing executive protection services in areas where there are no communications, or you don't know the language, or you don't know the customs or the traditions. Well, try to have a good network and call those locals. You don't have to hire them. You just have to tell, I'm calling you as a friend. What are the do's and don'ts in this specific region? And I can tell you're going to have a lot of cooperation. I have had this type of conversations with a lot of clients from Europe, from the East Asia, from the US, telling me, we're going to this place in Mexico. Do you know it? Yes. What are the do's and don'ts? Do we use an armored vehicle? No, you don't do that in that place because you're not going to find it and you're going to be the only one and you're going to stand out. So you need to have a low profile. Okay, I'm going to be in Mexico City. Don't wear shorts and sandals with socks. Don't do that because you're going to be the tourist. Of course, you have this German guy, redhead, freckles and stuff like that, 6'2", then you're going to stand out. There's nothing you can do. You're going to, like you, you're very tall. You're a very tall guy and you're going to stand out. But try to make yourself, don't be a soft target. That's what I tell people. Don't be a soft target.
Good way to explain it.
Enjoy life, enjoy the beach. And you know that there and once you get to your hotel, if you're unsure of the information you got, go to the front desk and ask them, what are the bad areas of the city? And don't go there. What is the secure transportation? And don't go there. And you're going to have the safest and funniest time of your life. I can tell you that. But if you're looking for trouble, you're going to get in trouble. You're going to get in trouble.
Oh, there you go. Good answer.
I mean, it is like that. Media is just telling you what is happening somewhere and in the border towns. And it's good that they tell you in border towns because, Tijuana is the largest crossing in the world. No else in the world people cross more than in Tijuana, San Diego, Tijuana, San Isidro crossing.
Millions a day.
Where in the world, not even in Europe, that there are no borders, not even there. So
wow.
The media is really telling you this is what happens, and they're not telling you this not to go or not to travel. They're telling you this to be aware and to consult people and say, like, you don't go there, don't do this when you go there. Try to be, more aware of things, and just because you are there for fun and don't do stupid things, don't jump from a balcony just to land in the pool. Don't do that, which is what they call in Spain balconing. People do that in Mallorca and Ibiza, and that's a huge, let's say, source of income for hospitals. So don't do stupid things. So if you don't do that, don't do it in other places. But going back to the media, they do a good job doing that. Of course, there's a way to spin the news. But what I can tell you, every time they do that, question that, and consult security company. Everyone is going to give you good information. There are a lot of sources in the internet, and if you're a security company, call somebody in ASIS or join call a friend and say, do you have anyone in Mexico or in Colombia or in Peru, in India or in Malaysia, and call them and tell them what are the do's and don'ts, because that's going to make life so much easier all the time. And we can provide that service too. We have a GSOC. We can be on alert with emergency response or extraction because of a hurricane or with the medical conditions. A lot of these companies have contracts with international companies that provide medical. We work more on the security side, even negotiating extortions and kidnappings. We've done that a lot. But as I said, if you think you're going to be kidnapped if you're going to travel out of the blue, you have a different problem, my friend. You have a different problem.
Yeah, exactly.
You need a different security team, and if you want to cross with guns, if you want to really do it with your security detail, well, go to the Mexican consulate or the Mexican embassy, talk to the defense attaché, security and defense attaché, and try to find permits for your security detail. That's going to take a long time, I can tell you that, because they will have to conduct background checks on everyone in your organization, and so it ends up on hiring a local company that works with your security team on our. That's the way it works. But as I said, yes, things happen in Mexico. Yes, you have to be careful. Media is not wrong. It's just they tend to how do you say, to make it bigger and to make it more spectacular. There's always a purpose, but have a cold mind and question and do your own research and you're going to have my details, and you're going to post it, and they can always send me an email, and I'll be honest with you. And I'm not here to promote the tourism industry in Mexico or anywhere in the world. I'm just here my job is to protect people. Well, my job is to help protect people or minimize risk, because we are risk managers. What we do is risk management.
Exactly.
Because there's always
pretty much,
we have had principals that love these scooters or love to skate, and then you need to have a proper executive protection agent skating behind them. So that's a different risk that your executive protection agent is going to have to have in their insurance policy, because we need insurance for that. And then principals have sometimes very there's a word for that. I just forgot it, but they have very special and strange way of living, and then you have to follow them if they like to use even when they don't like executive protection, even when they don't like, especially when the CEO or the leader of the family is a wife. We have had that kind of thing. The companies have had to change their security policies because they're not used to protecting the husband. And
right, exactly.
And there are things that need to be changed in terms of I wouldn't say diversity, but inclusion.
Hey, here's a question. We're going into a presidential election cycle here in the United States. How did the last cycle affect Mexico? Were you guys kind of on pins and needles to figure out who's going to get elected, or does it really affect Mexico that much on who the president is?
Oh, yeah, it does. It
does. Really? Did not know that.
Yeah, it does, because, as I said, because of NAFTA, the policies that they're going to be in place in terms of immigration or temporary workforce, because a lot of guys, especially working in the fields in agriculture, work in Canada or in the US, and the way immigration is going to be treated, and the way certain sectors are going to be treated with probably different tariffs or different import duties, or just blocking the whole situation, because there are lobbies. There are people lobbying for these industries, and it affects as well the economies, because if the U.S. is going to be more looking inside or deepening or enlarging with Trump, we saw a lot of deepening. And by deepening, I'm not saying that the U.S. was doing bad or going to a hole. Deepening into what was good for the country internally. And
so here's a question: when the U.S. prospers, Mexico prospers, right?
Yes, and also when the U.S. gets the flu, we get pneumonia. So we get pneumonia because of that. I mean, it is like that. Mexico is probably the largest trading partner of the U.S. So we
easily.
We want the best for the U.S. because it's the best for Mexico, and you want to have a very prosper neighbor down south, as well as you want to have a prosperous neighbor on the north side in Canada. So these independent movements with Quebec, that doesn't make sense for the U.S. because it can change a lot of things. Or providing
absolutely
into certain regions, like, and I'm going to tell you just one simple example. In Mexico, as of this year, we're not changing the timing for summertime or winter time. We're not going to do that anymore. Just the border towns do it because they're interconnected with the U.S. So in Tijuana, they have a different hour than in Mexico City. Before it was 2 hours. Now it's only 1 hour in summer, but in winter it's going to be 2 hours. And most border towns, and that's the way things are interconnected. That's why when there are elections in the U.S., we see an impact on exchange rate. We see an impact on investment, because people hold it. They say like, hold. We need to see what's happening, and I'm going to stand up. I'm going to retire my money from the table, and then I go back to gambling once the election is is gone, well, once the election happens, and once we know what the industrial policy and the security policy and the international policy is going to be of the country, because that's going to affect the situation. And for example, when Trump started his presidency, I think Ford Motor Company was going to build a multi-billion-dollar manufacturing plant in Mexico, and Trump threatened Ford, and for probably a few good reasons. Back many years ago when Ford and GM went bankrupt, well, the U.S. government backed them up and bailed them out, and they said, like, this is not the way to pay back what we did for you, and I understand that. And then Ford canceled the whole project.
Wow,
invest
that's pretty heavy blow.
So that's the way it works. It's just that Trump was very tough on that because he was not a politician. He was a businessman, and I'm sure he wanted the best for the U.S. or the best he could do for the U.S. And I'm sure he did good for people, and that's the way it works. Some presidents do good for people, and what is good for people is bad for.
I think we're going to see a business slowdown before the election because everybody doesn't know what to expect.
Yeah, because I think you're in terms of politics and in geopolitics, the U.S. population is very fragmented. It's polarized. And
absolutely, totally is.
Right. So I can tell you that this is probably the most important election in many years because that's the way this works. From my point of view, is going to give you the trend for many other presidents, because then it's going to be very clear where people want to go. They want to go Republican or they want to go Democrats. And if they want to go extreme Republican or center left Democrats, we have to see how this develops, if we want to be polarized or not. I don't think the U.S. population wants this polarization anymore, because it's turning into a headache for everyone. Anyway.
Headache, yeah.
It's very difficult to talk about politics. It's very difficult to talk about firearms. Mm-hmm. It's very difficult to talk about anything because there's this polarization, and everyone wants to have a point of view, and everyone thinks everyone is right. And I don't think that's
so true. Well said.
Because there are people that were good friends, or they are not anymore because of this polarization. And I don't think the U.S. deserves that. I think the U.S. is a great country and deserves a lot better than that.
Exactly. You said it, Hector. America's better than that. We are American people, North America, Mexico, America, Canada. We put our minds together. We are a great continent together. And the U.S. used to be number one in so many things, and it needs to go back to so many things, because that's why we have Russia invading Ukraine. That's why we have the threat of China, because we are losing leadership in this side of the world, and we need to get it back. We need to do things to get that back. And I'm not saying we're going to lead the world. It's just that it shouldn't be like that anymore. No need for it.
No need for
the internal fighting.
No need for internal fighting. No need for that. We got great moments and decades of peace, and that's when the economies grew the greatest.
Right. Exactly. I agree. We'll see what happens. Hopefully, we get business in the next 6 months. But I think businessmen out there are going to probably just sit back and say, "Okay, let's see what happens for the next 8 months before the election cycle."
Well, business probably, but in terms of security, people are going to be afraid. So I think we're going to see a pick up in event services and protection. Because of political. So get ready, my friend. Get ready, because people are going to start hiring a lot more for these rallies, political rallies, or vulnerable communities. We're going to see that. We're going to see a lot of that, especially those expressing their views openly. We're going to get, unfortunately, because it shouldn't be the reason why we get business. It shouldn't be
exactly.
it shouldn't be like that.
Right, I agree.
But it is like that in an election year. Probably in previous election years it was different, but this year I see there's going to be at least in the U.S. and in Mexico we're going to have also an election year next year. So we are going to be we're going to see that.
Be busy.
We're going to be busy too.
Power pull, power struggle. Hey, last topic, Hector. Let's jump into your big event happening in October. You got a bunch of people coming out of Mexico City for your big conference in October?
The EP Summit. We are sponsors of that event. Actually, Pablo Ortiz Monasterio, who you know from probably someone in the audience knows him because of the EP Forum. He's working a lot with Christian West and Byron Rogers on this, and it's a very similar concept. So a lot bigger with a lot more production, and we are going to have a very interesting. I think it's going to be the best years in terms of conferences. Chuck Tobin is coming. I think Chris Story is coming. And probably other guys from the US are going to be visiting, or you're part of the audience, not the conferences. We're going to have the guy who protected the royal family, and at some point, Lady Diana. So he's going to give us a good lecture on protecting royals and different things. So it's a huge event. Ed Calderon, who's been in many podcasts talking about weapons and security in very high risk areas. So it's been growing. It's the 5th year this year, and it's been growing in terms of audience. We started with 150. Last year it was probably 400 people. So
wow, impressive!
It's huge. And anyone who speaks English and Spanish is welcome, because we have we have translators. We have translators for the audience. You have your earphones or your headphones, and you have the translation there. And Byron Rogers has been there. Last year we had what's his name for workplace violence. Michael Julian was there. We had the guy from Human Hacking. As I said, Christian West. We had Ken Kurtz, the CEO of First Call last year, giving us a conference on security in the Middle East back in the day, and different things. So it's a huge event. It's a different dynamics than the IPSB. I didn't go to the Executive Protection Conference in Kansas City. I couldn't go there, couldn't be there. So I don't know how that went. I heard good and positive opinions and critics, but this one you're going to enjoy a lot. And after it's a 2-day event in terms of conferences, and a 1-day workshop on a different topic. 2 years ago was with the guys from I don't know, Cognerati, guys talking about situational awareness. They have the left. They have this. I think it's called the left of bang.
Yeah, I remember that.
That one. Cognerati. I don't remember exactly the name. And then last year was the guy from Human Hacking, and this year is going to be Ed Calderon. Okay. It's a workshop on different types of weapons that are or tactics that are used in very high risk environments. So I'm really looking forward to that. And there's food, there's breakfast and lunch and everything. So I invite you to come to Mexico City. You're going to be surprised. You're going to be surprised of this growing a lot more. There's going to be people from we're going to have guests from Europe, from the US, from Canada. So it's, as I said, Chuck Tobin is the second year he's going to be there. Last year he was only part of the audience, but this year he's going to give us a conference.
Nice. A big star lineup with many big names and all over the world that will be there. 400. That's a good turnout for last year.
Yeah. It's a good turnout. It has changed so much. The industry.
Everybody wants to travel and everybody wants to see each other. Yeah, everybody wants to get out of Zoom.
And the industry is growing so much. And I'm going to give you one number. We have grown in event security from 100% from 2021 to 2023 to today. Year today, it's 100% in terms of service.
Congratulations!
So but it's a happy problem, but it's a huge headache.
Huge headache
because you need working capital and you need executive protection officers and with good reputation, not only good experience, good reputation, and people who want to, because the problem that we have experienced in Mexico is that a lot of these executive protection professionals, they started working for Uber Eats or for Uber or for Lyft or Didi Food or whatever delivery situation because they thought they could have a good business. And they changed to that because probably they wanted to go because, there are young guys that they only want to be with their girlfriend, riding a motorcycle or be in the car and delivering food, whatever. Yeah. It's your life. But then we had to train a lot more people to that and find right guys because and little by little they have, gone back to the executive protection because during the pandemic, well, it was big and probably in 2022, we were coming back and we didn't know exactly how to say hi and hello. Do I give her a kiss or two kiss or we do shake hands? What do we do? We were like very uncertain times. But nowadays, things are back to normal and really full speed.
So things are going to open back up. I know right now it's been the slowest July I've seen in the U.S. this month of July. However, I had dinner with Chuck Tobin up in Bend, Oregon for ATAP, and he said, statistically, July is a slow month for the summer. It's not uncommon. And I know for our business, we hit our record back in May. So we are doing pretty well as business goes. And so, things are rocking and rolling. And do you have any parting words you want to share with the audience before we wrap this up, Hector?
Well, stay safe and you have every right. You don't have to know everything, but you have every right and the privilege to ask questions. Don't just stop having TikTok or Instagram as your sources of information. Ask professionals because I've seen videos in TikTok that they tell you how to get off a situation in a carjacking and things like that. And I always tell them to do that, it takes a lot of training, a lot of hours to train because you have to train under pressure. It's very easy to just create a video in TikTok or Instagram and you think, oh, that's easy. Well, that's easy there because it's role playing. But when you are in the real situation, with adrenaline, and not just your adrenaline, your attacker's adrenaline, he's gonna defend himself or herself. So you can expect the war. So don't follow that. Do your research. Try to. It doesn't hurt to just call a company and say like, I'm just a Joe, or whatever person. I don't have the amount of money to pay for this, but just tell me what to do. Or go to the State Department, and they're going to give you good advice. But just ask because once you ask, you are responsible. And if you travel abroad, try to comply with the law because countries have different traditions, different laws. What is legal in one place is illegal in another place. And like in Amsterdam is marijuana consumption and hard drugs are about to be illegal. So just don't go there. Wow. You think you do that because they need to comply with the EU regulations, and they don't want to be seen as the capital of drug tourism in the world. So things are changing, and so do your research. New York is not the same as 20 years ago or 30 years ago. I've never been robbed in Mexico City. I've been robbed in Europe.
Wow, what a trip!
What a trip! So just ask.
Yeah.
Ask. You have every right. You don't have to be the one who knows everything, but you have to be the one who asks for everything because you need to protect yourself. That's what I say. That's what I would say to everyone. And well, I'm here for you, Mark. We take care of each other, and I'm happy to be here with your audience. And I hope this whatever we discussed it was fun and useful for everyone.
It was fun. Yeah, thanks, Hector, for coming on. And to the audience listening or YouTube, please subscribe to our YouTube channel as well and to all the podcast channels. If you give us a 5-star rating on the podcast, that would be great. And give Hector a 5-star rating on LinkedIn as well.
At least some love.
A thumbs up.
A thumbs up.
Ring the bell. Ring his bell on LinkedIn. Ring his bell on. I know he's on LinkedIn. I don't think he's on anything else, but I think we're on Facebook. We're on Instagram. We're on Twitter and all that for the podcast. So thanks for the support, folks. Thanks for tuning in to hear Hector's version of what's happening on the ground in Mexico versus the media, what they think really going on, and our little talk on standardization and the forecast for what's about to come with the presidential election. So thanks for tuning in, and we'll catch you on the next episode of the Fearless Mindset Podcast. We'll see you soon, folks. Thanks for tuning in.